you will put this link, the Zoom link, into your phone, right? So put it into your phone no matter where you are. You have it. Maybe start setting an alarm every single morning for 9:25 to remind yourself to jump on, whether you're out and about or you're at home or you're on your laptop or on your phone. These Power 30s are going to be so good for you, good for your soul, good for your intentionality, good for getting focused and all in. It's going to be incredible to be with community first thing in the morning and to really set the pace for what your heart's desire is and why you're doing what you're doing. So thank you for being here. Today, we are going to be talking intentionality. And as you know, you have 4 different leaders. We have Michelle Harrell, Andrea Stutt, Dory Rogers, and myself are going to be doing these Power 30s. It is the most beautiful thing to me that we get to do this together because we're all so different. We all approach our businesses differently, but we have all collaborated together and supported each other through our journeys, and you're going to be able to see that. You're going to glean from each one of us in different ways, but you're going to see kind of the beauty of our community and how we continue to grow. And it's going to give you creative ways of how your community and people that you've locked arms with and people on your teams and how that's going to grow. So I think that that's super cool. Every day is going to be a little bit different. And so we're always going to keep you on your toes. And I feel like without a doubt that the day that you are on with us and what you're hearing is exactly what you need to hear. And I love that piece of it too, because we're always
in certain ways. So let's get going on intentionality. It's a brand new month. And I want you to be very grateful for what you learned in March. And I want you to begin to anticipate the beauty of what April can bring. I put out there today, you probably saw on some other team pages, our success sprints for April, May, and June. I'm incredibly excited about that. And so set your intentionality now for how you want to grow your business, how you want to grow yourself personally, and be able to get excited about those things. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do as we begin to really look at some areas of our lives of what happened in last month and last quarter and where we're moving to. And I want you to do some shout outs real quick in the comments of what you're grateful for this past month. So in March, give some shout outs, what you're grateful for. What did you celebrate in March? What are your wins? And how did you see yourself grow, or how did you see yourself change? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to put those things over in the comments. How did you grow? How did you change? What are you excited about? I see that we have some new ambassadors. The excitement for them for March was they're with us now. Amen. I know, I'm so excited you're here. So that's an exciting piece, is to know that I'm getting focused. And with Shondell, she's getting focused on health and her business. And so a huge shout out to her that, y'all, she just signed up, I think 2 days ago, and she's on this call. How many of y'all were scared half to death to get on a call in the beginning? It was intimidating. It was scary. You didn't want to be seen. You weren't sure what was going to happen. You weren't going to be sure if Melissa was going to shout you out, just like I just did. And she's here. So that says that she's courageous and that she's bold. And so I'm excited. So yeah, some things are coming in. Sherry, I tell you what, biggest shout out ever, sweeping the success sprints. Unbelievable. Level 2, senior silver. Dawn, I love that you added back your friend who had dropped off. I just was speaking with a friend earlier this morning whenever I was getting ready, and she had a friend that did the same thing. It's super cool to see that, guys. We always need to know that if people leave us, don't go into a scarcity mindset. Don't think, oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. Keep an open door. Continue to love them well, because they can come back. And it's all on your posture towards them. as to if they feel like that they can. So I love, love, love that. Okay, I know your hubby joined. I'm so proud of that. And let's see, Nicole saw myself be more bold. I'm so proud of you, Nicole. And added 6 new ambassadors. That's unbelievable. So super, super exciting. Okay, so let's move on from here. I'm so proud of you guys. And I want us to start thinking about how we're going to begin our month. And I want to place some thoughts around that. So I hope that you have pen and paper in front of you. You know that if you're with me, usually I make you think about some things. And so we kind of got the oil on the machine already by doing some shout outs. But this was a really great place for me. This week, I was asked to look at my numbers a year ago in March, which, guys, was, when the pandemic, when we started closing down all of our communities. So looking at a year ago in March and looking at myself today, where I was and where I am today. And it brought such gratitude, so much gratitude to my heart of what has happened in a year of a pandemic and how much we grew. I feel like we grew spiritually, mentally. We grew, many of us physically, in different ways of getting focused differently. And we grew in our businesses like unbelievable. But I went back even a little bit further and I looked at all the way back to 2017, because as you know, and if you don't do this yourself, I highly recommend it, but I have kept my my points in my phone since 2017. Prior to that, I kept it in my calendar. And so it was in my phone. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go all the way back. And it reminded me of my journey and where I've been. And I wanted to share some of this with you as we're setting intentionality for the month. And the big thing that stood out to me most, you guys, is that for 4 years, so I went Emerald in 2016, and for 4 years, I stayed between 1,500 and 1,800 points. I only went 300 points in 4 years. And as I thought about that, and then last year we went from Emerald to Sapphire to Diamond. And as I thought about all of that, and I thought about you, knowing that I was going to come and speak with you this morning in intentionality, I could only be grateful for sticking with it. And I'll be honest, I am like some of you have been of, is it worth it? Should I just go back and get a job that I know I'm going to get paid a certain amount? Would it be easier on me if I could just do 9 to 5 and then forget about everything and watch Netflix every single night and do whatever I want? And in the end, for me, which is why it's so important that you have your why, in the end, that's never worth it. This was always worth the wrestling and the struggling. I have never gone to the place of full burnout in 7.5 years. And the reason for that is because I do have a deep why, and because I found a reason to be grateful every single day. And if I could encourage just one person, even if that one person did not join me, if I encouraged them in a way that brought them hope or showed them love or encouraged them to move forward in some way, that was enough for me. And so my question for you is, what is enough for you? What is enough for you to push through the struggles, to push through saying, I'm not where I should be? I never faulted my team. I never got upset with my team because I focused on serving. And whenever you focus on serving and not on yourself and what you should have or what you shouldn't have, your intentionality changes and your days have more satisfaction and fulfillment in them. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about where you were a year ago. Were you even with Plexus? Were you with us? What did it look like? Did you just get started? But in those things, what are you grateful for? Grateful for even hearing about it, grateful for sticking it out and having courage and staying bold and figuring out, like for me, for those 4 years, no kidding, for 4 years, I kept saying, what can I do different? How am I not serving? Where's the gap? What should I would ask Michelle Harrell. Many of y'all know she has been with me almost the entire time. She started about 4 months after me. She's my sapphire, if y'all have not met her. And, you know, I would have to ask her questions. I would have to ask my upline questions. I would ask her, like, do you have a thumb on the heartbeat of our team? Like, it was always from a serving standpoint, and how is Melissa needing to grow that I haven't grown so that I can serve better? And whenever you come from that standpoint, I think that you are able to say, I've grown so much. I've done so many things. All of us have a different area that we have to work on. Nobody's story is the same as someone else's. And I will tell you that for 4 years, not for 4, because I just got to move out. So, well, yeah, it was for 4 years because I didn't start moving until 2020. But for all those years, I fooled myself a little bit because I did believe that I had everything that I needed, that I just needed to tweak some things. And so I tweaked, I changed. I've always done personal development, but it wasn't until I came to the realization that I just needed personal counseling, that I needed to unravel from some lies in the past. It didn't come until the point of me saying, I'm going to fully invest financially in getting some coaching to get truly accountable. That was my journey of getting unstuck, which I would never say I was stuck. I was stuck if you qualify it by how Plexus grades us, but I was never stuck. I was always moving forward. I might have been failing forward, but I was never stagnant in my journey. But I had to really get real with myself to say, you know, I've been in ministry, I've been in corporate, I've run nonprofits, like all those things. I've counseled people, all those different pieces, but there was a piece for me that I had to say, I'm going to invest in this area because there's some space in here that's not allowing me to go to the next level. So I wanted to share that with you because we all have a journey and we are all going through things that others don't realize. We always think, well, they're where they are because it's easier for them. They're where they are because they have more influence. They're where they are because they really didn't need it financially, and this is just icing on the cake. If you do this business, you need to do it with intentionality of knowing that there's some areas that the Lord wants to grow you in and to help you to be better. So I want to ask, I'm going to give you some prompts. I want you to write these down and you can work on these later today or this weekend. But I want you to think about a couple of things. I want you to think about where you were this time last year, if you were even with us, and if you weren't with Plexus, where were you? Were you searching? Were you frustrated? Were you sick? Were you looking for something different? Where were you a year ago today? So look at that. If you were with us, like, where were your numbers? How have you grown? How can you evaluate that area? Who were you as a person? Have you changed? I know I've changed a lot today than I was a year ago. I've even had some of y'all tell me that I've changed, like y'all have seen me change. I knew I had changed, but I didn't know that it had, like, the result of that had come across to others in the way that it had. But who were you a year ago and who are you today? And then what can you be grateful for? I want you to think about, in this past year's journey, what can you be grateful for? And it could be as simple as, I got up this morning and showed up. It can be, I kept going and I kept moving forward, and I'm so grateful because now my business has changed and my business is growing. And if I wouldn't have stayed the course, I wouldn't be seeing what I'm seeing today. So write down those things that you're grateful for. And then now I want you to look at just your last 3 months. So how have you grown in your business and personally in 2021. We're going by quarters now, and we're really focusing on quarters instead of just months. So evaluate your last quarter. How have you grown personally? What have you made a priority personally? And how have you grown in your business? How have you grown with courage? Have you had a mind shift? And if you have, what does that look like? And do you believe differently about yourself today than you did 3 months ago? I want you to write those things down, and I want you to write down what you're grateful for over the last 3 months of 2021. That self-evaluation is so good for us. It's good to evaluate, not to beat yourself up, not to negative talk in any way, but to be aware and to be open to becoming better. It's one of the greatest things as a leader that you can become is self-aware and self-evaluating, finding the gaps and finding resources and ways or mentors to help you fill that so that you can be your best self. So those things are great. And then as we move to another area, I want to say this, and that is, as I was doing all of this week, preparing for today, all I could think about was Isaiah 43:18-19. And this is from the Passion Translation. It says, stop dwelling on the past. Don't even remember these former things. I am doing something brand new, something unheard of. I love that in the Passion. Even now it sprouts and grows and matures. Don't you perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and open up flowing streams in the desert. And so I want you to think about that as we evaluate and we have this self-awareness. It is to capture it, to be grateful for what we're learning, to be grateful for how we're being challenged, but it is to set the course to know that there are great things ahead of us, and we need to look forward into what God is calling us into for this next quarter. So I really want us to get really intentional with April. I want us to be present in today. I want us to be present in our future. And that's why it's so important. We talk about that month after month after month. Whenever we start a new month, to kind of be grateful for the month past, to see the areas that we can work on, and then to set ourselves in place to have a really great future month. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do, is to release and to move forward. So as we move into this month, I want you to begin to question yourself. And this is areas that I want you to journal on again. I'd love for you to share these with me. You can even put some things into the chat here in just a moment as you think through them. So you might have a front of mind thought as I say this, but I really want you to go back and spend a little bit of time on it so that you can really get intentional, because that's what we're really focused on today. So what would you want to do in April differently? What do you know that you intentionally want to adjust and change this month for your business and for yourself personally? Then I want you to think about what options you have. So if you know without a doubt, I need to spend more time engaging, I need to spend more time reaching out to people, I need to spend more time really understanding the products for myself so that I can begin to troubleshoot for people. There's all different things of what you can do differently, but then think about your options. So what are your options in that? Time. It could be watching some videos, taking some notes so that you feel a little bit better about troubleshooting. So what are those options? What resources do you need to make that happen? If you want to change, we all say we want to change, but you better get intentional with how that's going to look. Your resources, the options that you have available to you, and then how can you give yourself permission to grow and succeed in those plans? I really want you to give yourself permission. Believe it or not, unconsciously, so often we hold ourselves back because we believe that we don't deserve it. It usually always goes to unworth, or it goes to feeling like we're judged in some way. And unconsciously, if we don't do this work that I'm giving you to think through, we hold ourselves back the entire time. And so I really kind of want you to give yourself a permission slip. And I want you to stick it on your wall. You know, I have all my good stuff right here on my wall. I want you to put a sticky up there that says, I give myself permission to be successful this month in the plans that I have and to grow more in who I am. So in doing that, as you think about how do I want to show up differently, what do I want to do in my business differently, and you think about those options and those resources, and you're giving yourself permission, the last thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to think about 3 qualities that you must have to intentionally step into that person this month. So what are 3 qualities? Is it courage, boldness? Is it getting organized and being organized? Is it reaching out and having a servant's heart to reach out to others? What are those 3 qualities? I'd love for you to share a little bit in the comments, if you can, real quick, in your chats of how you would like to be different, how you want to show up differently in April, and maybe those 3 qualities that you would need. Brendan Burchard, many of you guys know I've been going through a 6-month training with him. And one thing that he says that I absolutely love is the death of success begins with a series of symptoms called excuses. Think about that. The death of success begins with a series of symptoms called excuses. And so we're not going to excuse ourselves away this month. We're going to set intention. We're going to give ourselves permission to grow, to succeed, to find the resources, to ask the questions so that we can move forward. And then the last thing that I'm going to ask you is to set your non-negotiables today for the rest of this month. What is non-negotiable for you personally? What is non-negotiable for you in your business? Set those non-negotiables. Put them where you can see them. Personally, it might be, you know, that you will, for sure, it's non-negotiable that you will have dinner on the table 3-4 nights a week and that your family will be around that table. That you will have date night with your spouse at least once this month, maybe once a week. That you're a non-negotiable is that you're working on your night routine so that you can get really good sleep. And so a non-negotiable is that you'll be in bed at a certain time, no matter what. A non-negotiable for many of you, I've watched this past month of saying, I'm going to get up a little bit earlier. It's non-negotiable. I'm going to get up and just spend some time with the Lord. For your IPAs, it might be non-negotiable is that I will, without a doubt, do my income producing activities. Or I'm going to start meeting with friends again once a week. I'm going to meet with somebody new. So what are those? And then lastly, I just want you to really set time to time block that. Because if you have non-negotiables, you have to have time to focus towards that. The greatest thing that you can do is to say, it's a priority for me. And anything that's a priority, just like a date night, you put it on the calendar and it's non-negotiable. So really set some time blocking. And guys, I want you to understand that it's quality over quantity. A lot of times we think we've got to just throw up and get everything out. And we do it so quickly because we think we have to do hundreds of reaches versus some really thought out quality reaches. So as you set your pace for this week, moving into next week and the rest of this month, really look at quality versus quantity, and then honor your time. Set your intention, set who you need to become, know your resources in the areas that you want to grow, ask the questions so that you can grow. You know, being a student in the classroom, it's always good to sit at the front and raise the hand. I was the girl that always sat in the back that was so fearful. I had to learn to sit in the front, to be seen, to ask the questions. There is no dumb question, and that's how you see success. So I hope that this was good for you. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, and I will see you again on Monday morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, 9:30. Make sure that you're with me. You guys have a great day. Bye.